Imagine that you built the greatest product in the world, but you had zero sales because no one knew about it. Now it sounds silly, but this happens all the time, which is why today we're talking about which is the best social media platform for your small business to be on. Let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Liz, and I love to talk about how you can use marketing strategies the right way in your first year of business. Make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss any of my videos where I talk about social media, public speaking, and video marketing in your first year. So let's think about why people say that you should actually focus on one platform when you are in your first couple of years of business. In fact, there's two good reasons for it. One is that focusing on one platform really prevents you from spreading yourself thin. People always think that using social media is a fun thing that we just do in our spare time. But in fact, when you're using it for your business, you need a lot of time to build and create content and then to plan your strategy around that. It's not really something that you can do haphazardly if you want to get results from it. So the problem with being on every single social media platform is that you need to devote tons of time towards creating content for all of them. Often, new entrepreneurs are working by themselves without a team and without a lot of resources. So where would you get all this time? That's the main reason that people tell you not to spread yourself out too thin by being on every platform. The second really important reason is because your potential customers are likely just using one or two platforms. So rather than trying to be everywhere where your potential clients might be, it is far better to identify who your clients could be and then to spend some time digging into where they are actually hanging out so that you can put all of your efforts there. Now, when you're trying to determine which are the best social media platforms for your business, I recommend that you look to see which platform satisfies criteria for these three areas. First is your strengths as a business owner in terms of how you would present yourself on social media. If you are somebody who is very comfortable on camera, there are certain social media platforms that will really play to that strength. On the other hand, if you prefer visual aids, if you're really good at photography, there's other platforms for you. Or if you're more of a writer, you can consider all the platforms that engage with writing and blogs. So you would be able to figure out which platforms really play to your strengths as a business owner. Secondly, of course, think about the actual product or service that you have at hand. If you are selling a product that really requires a visual element so that potential customers need to actually see the product or see somebody using it or get a sense of how to best fit it into their life, then sometimes a platform that really has a visual element to it is necessary, like YouTube or Instagram, for example. On the other hand, if you are selling a service and your voice is the only thing that would be needed, then even a platform like Clubhouse is a perfect place to go where you don't have an actual physical product that you need to show people. The third thing to consider is where are your actual clients in terms of what is the demographic of them. That will determine where they are hanging out. We know by now, because all of the data shows, that all of the different social platforms really cater to a different demographic. So of course, as a business owner, you would consider what it is that you're offering and then ask yourself, is it females or males that it would appeal to? Is it people under 30 or over 30? Is it working professionals or students? Or whatever the demographic makeup might be. That particular demographic makeup will be hanging out on one of the platforms. So you really need to find the combination between these three things to find your sweet spot for determining which platform you should be on. Now, after having spent time on a lot of different social platforms, I would say that every business owner at this stage of the game needs to have at least Instagram plus one other supporting platform. So why would I say this? Now, Instagram is a place where a person can visit your account and within a couple of seconds get a clear understanding of what your brand is all about without a lot of scrolling or reading. This is really hard to do on the other platforms. So having an Instagram account is almost like handing somebody a one-page resume. It's like a quick snapshot of everything your brand is about, supplemented, of course, by your stories and IGTV and Reels and all of that. This is significantly harder to do on other platforms like YouTube and Facebook. However, the one thing about Instagram is that influencer culture is huge there and competition is fierce on Instagram. So if you are going to be dedicating all of your resources towards building a content strategy there, then you have to have significant time and effort behind that. That's the reason that I recommend that you certainly have an Instagram account and try to build it, but then you also have one other platform that you use so that that plays to your strengths, whether you're good on camera or whether you prefer to be writing more or whether you have other strengths that you want to put towards your business. That way, these two can go hand in hand and really create a great, well-rounded social media strategy for your business. Now, if you're someone who's thinking of playing the YouTube game, let's think about some of the reasons why that platform is really great. One is because people who are watching you on YouTube get a sense right away of what it would be like to work with you, because your mannerisms, your way of explaining things, your personality, they all come out for the camera. So people can make a decision as to whether you are someone they want to continue following and if you are the right person for them. The second thing is that YouTube is a search engine. So that means that people are rarely just bumping into you by accident on YouTube. They are going into the search engine of YouTube and typing something that is of interest to them. And somewhere along that scroll, your video is coming up. So that means that these people are in fact warm leads. They are already interested in the material that you are putting out videos about. So these are really two great reasons that you should think about the YouTube game. Now, of course, the thing about YouTube is that it does take time in two ways. One is that, of course, you have to create and think about your video idea, and then you have to shoot it, edit it. Sometimes you have to pay somebody to do that or take the time to do it yourself. That's one thing. The other thing is YouTube is a really long game. It's incredibly competitive. There are some very, very heavy players on YouTube, so to rank against them can be tough. However, people who are building a following on YouTube usually have a loyal following. They are very, very loyal customers that hang on to everything of that channel and they're subscribed there. So if you are able to spend some time building a following there, then you can usually guarantee that those people will be quite loyal and thinking about purchasing your services down the line. Now, people have asked in the past whether they should think about starting a podcast, and certainly a podcast is another social media platform, and it's great for so many reasons. For one thing, it is super easy to set up. You don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment. It is literally as easy as speaking into your smartphone and then uploading that onto free distribution platforms. And almost anybody can get that going. You don't need a lot of resources behind it. That is really one of the best things about it. Not only that, but podcasts often have a very, very loyal following behind them. Think about the podcast that you listen to. You probably look forward to listening to every episode if it's a podcast that you truly like. So those are two really great reasons that you can consider that. Two of the cons behind using a podcast for your business as a prime social media outlet is that, for one thing, it's not really searchable. Imagine that you have a problem that you want to solve, like you have a leaky roof. So you're not going to go and look for a podcast to solve that problem. So it often doesn't solve immediate problems in that business sense. Instead, it's talking about general ideas in different industries and niches. Not only that, but it's very hard to personally connect with people on a podcast because, in fact, the person who's running the podcast has no way to be DM'd or messaged, or you can't really link out to them in any way other than leaving a review and possibly looking them up on other platforms. So these are two things that might cause you to feel like a podcast is great to have in your arsenal of social media strategies. However, it often doesn't drive sales until you have a sizable following and loyalty behind that. Now, if your demographics indicate that your target market are more working professionals, then of course you cannot forget a platform like LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a couple really great qualities. For one thing, it's not overrun and trampled upon by influencer culture, so that is a really great thing. And not only that, but the algorithm working behind LinkedIn is considerably looser than the other ones. LinkedIn as a platform is willing to show your content to its other members and vice versa. So once you post something on LinkedIn, you know, all of your followers and your connections could potentially get a notification that you have posted, which is really helpful. Now, the one thing about LinkedIn is that if you are in certain industries like education, business, technology, then it really works well. But if you work in other industries like beauty, for example, or hospitality, retail, food and beverage, some of those industries tend not to do so well unless you're a massive company with a large following. So this is a platform where you really have to think about the service that you are providing and whether your potential target market happens to be people that are busy working professionals with a significant purchasing power behind them, and then consider that as another platform that you can work towards. Now, Clubhouse is the newest kid on the block, so for anyone who is not comfortable in front of a camera, nor comfortable writing out long form, Clubhouse is a perfect alternative because it's easy as turning on your phone and just speaking right into it. The live, intimate nature of it is what creates an instant vibe check between people and businesses. So if you're somebody who's really comfortable being able to speak naturally about your work and the things that you are interested in, then I definitely recommend that you check out Clubhouse. One thing about it that's really a good thing, I feel, is that you cannot really fool people when you are on Clubhouse. I've noticed that when we see Instagram accounts, sometimes people are standing in Turks and Caicos in front of a Porsche and talking about their life. However, when you're on Clubhouse and you're in a room with people that could potentially ask you questions and put you on the spot about what you're talking about, you really do have to know your stuff and you have to be able to support what it is that you're talking about. So you could easily reach out to somebody on Clubhouse through their links right to their Instagram or their Twitter, and you can make connections that way. Now, the one drawback of Clubhouse that I wish that they would work on is that you can't save things there and you cannot really search for things other than searching for general topics. So that means that any content that you put out onto Clubhouse is live in the moment. Once it's said and done, it is not saved there, so there's no type of searchability factor to it. However, it is still a really valuable platform in many ways. So if you're interested in that audio style, then I definitely recommend that you check that out. Now, of course, we have to say a word about Pinterest because long gone are the days when it was just little old ladies looking at Pinterest. Nowadays, millions of views are generated off of Pinterest towards your blog and your website and your other long form content. So the thing about Pinterest is that, of course, we know by now that it is heavily dominated by females. So if you happen to be selling a product or a service where the prime purchaser of that would be a female, it is absolutely a good idea to get onto Pinterest. That way you can send that traffic back to your website or to your blog so that those customers can continue to engage with your product in other ways. Now, Twitter is a platform that I would consider to be hit and miss because it's really hard to tell who are active Twitter users from within your existing audience. So because of this, I would suggest that you just run an Instagram or Facebook poll and ask your existing followers how many of you are actually active users on Twitter before you decide to invest your time there. The thing about tweets is that they have such a short shelf life. So as soon as you put out a tweet, it disappears into an abyss within an hour. So that means that as a business owner, you need to dedicate time towards posting all day long with great regularity. Now, this is a platform where people like to use hashtags to search for breaking news or current events. So if your industry supports that type of information, it's absolutely a great platform that you can use for short form content. Now, of course, we cannot leave without saying a word about Facebook. Now, I am a firm believer that everybody has to have a Facebook account at this point. There are literally billions of users who are using that, which means that your target market has a high chance of at least having a Facebook account that they are going to bump into you on. There's hardly any reason why you wouldn't have one, because you can use Facebook groups to leverage other potential customers and also to demonstrate your expertise and to cultivate a community and relationship. It's also very easy to cross-post from Instagram to Facebook, and the analytics of Facebook are just in-depth and such golden material. You can find out almost everything about the people that are coming to visit your Facebook page, which really helps you to further learn more about your target market. Now, I made a video about this a couple weeks ago, so don't forget to check that out here so that you can watch that to decide if a Facebook page is the best platform for you to work on. Now, since social media platforms all have their own pros and cons, you in fact have a lot of flexibility about which one you choose for your business. First, you'll make a list of the platforms that highlight your strengths as a business owner. Then you would make a list of the platforms where your target market is known to be hanging out. Then you would make a list of which platforms are the best mediums to highlight all the great features of your products and services, and then find the sweet spot between these three. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a like and share it with one of your friends who have recently started a new business. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel where we talk about video marketing, social media, and public speaking for your new business. If you're interested in thinking about how you can further develop a social media strategy for your new business, make sure that you check out the link in the description below so that I can send you a free resource to get going on that right away. So until next time, take care.